If he's just a colleague who helps with work, why do their messages sound like love letters? And why did I catch her climbing into his car when she swore she was staying late? My name is Ethan Cole, and I'm a fire inspector for the city. I've spent the last 8 years walking through burned buildings, reconstructing what happened, figuring out how a spark became an inferno. You learn to see patterns. You learn that fires don't lie. Evidence doesn't have an agenda, it just is. I've been with Mara for 3 years. We met at a community fundraiser where I was doing a safety presentation and she was managing the event marketing. She was smart, driven, a little insecure about her career but working hard to prove herself. I liked that she cared about getting things right. We moved in together after a year, got a small apartment downtown, split the bills, shared a laptop for household stuff, kept our lives mostly separate but connected where it mattered. It worked, or I thought it did. 2 weeks ago, Mara started mentioning a coworker named Derek more often. He was helping her with a big client pitch. He had experience she didn't. He was generous with his time, stayed late to walk her through strategy, gave her feedback that her manager wouldn't. I didn't think much of it at first. Workplaces run on collaboration, people help each other. Mara's always been anxious about her performance, so having a mentor made sense. But then I started noticing small things. The way she smiled when she said his name, not a colleague smile. Something warmer, something private. The way she checked her phone constantly during dinner, then put it face down on the table when I glanced over. The way she started dressing slightly better for work. Not obvious, just a little more effort. New blouse, different perfume. Small things, the kind you tell yourself you're imagining because you don't want to be that guy. The jealous boyfriend who sees threats in every interaction. But I'm trained to see patterns, and patterns were forming. Last Tuesday night, Mara said she'd be home late. Client presentation prep. Derek was helping her finalize the slides. She texted me around 7. Going to be another hour. Don't wait up for dinner. I ordered takeout and ate alone. I cleaned the kitchen, watched part of a documentary on structural failures, and around 9:30 I opened our shared laptop to check my email. The laptop was still logged into Mara's accounts. We've never been precious about privacy. We use the same machine for bills, shopping, household stuff. I wasn't snooping, I was just opening the browser. Her messaging app was open. I saw Derek's name at the top of the thread. I should have closed it. Should have respected her privacy. Should have asked her directly if something was going on. But I didn't. I scrolled up. The messages weren't about work. I can't stop thinking about you. Last night was perfect. I wish we didn't have to hide. I found 3 venues that could work for June. The garden one has availability on the 14th. I love you. I can't believe we're actually doing this. I sat there staring at the screen, my brain trying to process what I was reading. Venues, June, doing this. I scrolled further, at weeks of messages, declarations of love, plans for a future, not hypothetical, concrete, dates, locations, logistics, and then I found it. A draft document titled Our Vows. I opened it. Derek had written his section, Mara had written hers. They were planning a wedding. My hands were shaking. I couldn't breathe right. Everything felt distant and sharp at the same time, like I was watching this happen to someone else. I checked the date on the messages. This had been going on for at least 2 months, maybe longer. 2 months of I love you. 2 months of planning a life together. 2 months of Mara coming home and kissing me goodnight like nothing was wrong. I heard the door unlock. I minimized the browser and opened my email. My heart was pounding so hard I thought she'd hear it. Mara walked in, dropped her bag on the counter, and came over to kiss my cheek. Hey, sorry I'm so late. Derek really saved me tonight. I don't think I would have nailed the pitch without his help. Her voice was light, casual. She smelled like wine. I asked how the prep went. She said great. She felt confident about tomorrow's presentation. I asked if Derek was married. She paused, just a half second, then said she didn't really know. They kept things professional. Professional. I nodded and said I was heading to bed. She said she'd be up in a minute. She wanted to unwind first. I went to the bedroom and lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling. Every instinct told me to confront her, to walk back out and demand an explanation, to ask her who the hell Derek was and what the hell she thought she was doing. But I've walked through enough fire scenes to know that rushing in without understanding the full picture gets you killed. If I confronted her now, she'd delete everything. She'd minimize, gaslight, flip it around on me for invading her privacy. She'd cry and apologize and say it wasn't what it looked like. And I'd have nothing but screenshots of messages that could be explained away as jokes or misunderstandings. I needed more. I needed to document everything, build a timeline, gather evidence that couldn't be denied or explained away. So I waited until Mara fell asleep beside me, and then I got up and went back to the laptop. I opened the messaging thread again and started taking screenshots. Every message, every photo, every mention of venues, dates, plans. I exported the entire thread to a USB drive. Hundreds of messages going back 3 months. Then I checked her cloud storage. She had a shared folder titled Wedding Ideas. It was full of venue photos, dress inspiration, floral arrangements, all dated within the last 6 weeks. I copied everything. I checked our joint credit card statement next. 2 charges I didn't recognize, both for hotels, local, not travel. One 3 weeks ago, one last week. I photographed both receipts with my phone, making sure the date on the screen was visible. Then I checked her work calendar synced to the cloud. The nights of those hotel charges, she'd told me she was working late. Her calendar showed no meetings, no client events, nothing. I documented that too. By 2 a.m, I had a folder full of evidence. Messages, photos, receipts, calendar conflicts. A pattern so clear it couldn't be explained away. I locked the USB drive and my fire inspection kit in the garage. Then I went back to bed. Mara was still asleep, breathing softly, one arm draped across my side of the bed. I lay there and didn't sleep. The next morning, she got up early for her client presentation. She kissed me goodbye, said she loved me, and told me she'd text me after the meeting. I said good luck. She left. I called in sick to work. I needed time to think. I sat at the kitchen table with coffee and went through everything again. The messages, the receipts, the calendar, the wedding planning folder. It was all there, undeniable. She was planning to marry Derek. She'd been lying to me for months. But I still didn't know the full picture. I didn't know if Derek was single. I didn't know if he worked with Mara or somewhere else. I didn't know how serious this was, or if it was just some fantasy they were indulging. I needed to see them together. I needed proof that went beyond messages. That night, Mara texted me at 6:30. Client meeting ran over. Going to be late again. Derek's helping me debrief. Home by 9. I replied, no problem. See you tonight. Then I got in my car and drove to her office. I parked across the street in a public garage with a clear view of the main entrance. I waited. Employees started leaving around 7, a steady stream of people in business casual heading to the parking lot or the subway. At 7:50, Mara walked out. She wasn't alone. She was with a man. Tall, probably late 30s, wearing a suit jacket and carrying a leather bag. He said something and she laughed. Not a polite work laugh, a real one. They walked to the parking lot together. He stopped at a silver sedan, opened the passenger door for her. She got in, I took a photo. Date and time visible on my phone screen. They sat in the car for a few minutes, talking. I couldn't see details from this distance, but their body language was comfortable, familiar. Then he started the car and pulled out of the lot. I followed. I kept 2 cars between us. I've tailed enough inspection subjects to know how to stay invisible. They drove to the restaurant district downtown, upscale places, date night spots. He parked in a garage. They got out and walked 2 blocks to a French bistro with soft lighting and a wine list in the window. He held the door for her. They went inside. I parked down the street and waited. 20 minutes later, I checked Derek's social media. Mara had mentioned his last name once in passing weeks ago. Kane. I found him easily. Senior project manager at Mara's company. Married, according to his profile. Wife named Vanessa. No kids. Married. I sat there feeling cold. Mara was planning to marry a man who was already married. Either she didn't know or she didn't care. I checked his recent posts, mostly work stuff, professional development, company events. Then I saw it. A photo posted 90 minutes ago. A plate of food, a wine glass, ambient lighting, the caption, celebrating a successful quarter. I zoomed in on the background. Mara's face was visible. She was sitting across from him, smiling. He'd tagged the location. The same bistro they'd just walked into. I screenshotted it. Then I drove home. Mara got back at 11. She looked relaxed, happy. She said the debrief went well. Derek had given her great feedback. She felt good about the client relationship. I asked how the restaurant was. She froze for half a second, then said, "What restaurant?" I said, "You texted me you were debriefing. I assumed you grabbed dinner." She laughed it off. Said no, they just worked in the conference room and ordered sandwiches. I nodded and said I was going to bed. She said she'd join me in a minute. I lay there in the dark again, listening to her move around the apartment, brushing her teeth, changing clothes, sliding into bed beside me. She put her hand on my shoulder and said goodnight. I didn't respond. In the morning, I checked our joint credit card again. 2 new hotel charges, both from last week, both local boutique properties. I called the first one, pretended I was confirming a reservation under the name Lane. The front desk clerk said, "Oh yes, you checked out last week. 2-night stay. Would you like to book again?" 2 nights. I asked if the reservation was under Lane and Guest. She said yes. I thanked her and hung up. I photographed the receipt, printed a copy, labeled it with the date and location. Then I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the evidence folder on my laptop. Messages, photos, receipts, calendar conflicts, social media posts, witness statements from hotel staff. It was all there. Mara was having an affair. She was planning to marry Derek. She'd been lying to me for months, and I still hadn't said a word. Because I needed one more thing. I needed to know who Derek really was. If he was married, his wife deserved to know. And if his wife knew, maybe we could corroborate evidence, make it undeniable. That afternoon, I got a LinkedIn message from someone I didn't know. The name was Vanessa Kane. The message was short. "We need to talk about Derek and Mara." I stared at the screen. Derek's wife had found me. I replied, "When and where?" She responded within a minute. "Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Morgan Street Coffee. I'll be at the back table." I agreed. Then I saved the message, added it to the evidence folder, and locked everything away. Tomorrow, I'd meet Vanessa Kane, and tomorrow I'd find out just how deep this went. I arrived at Morgan Street Coffee 15 minutes early. I wanted to see Vanessa before me. Old habit from fire investigations. Observe the scene before you disturb it. The cafe was small, brick walls, low lighting, mostly empty on a weekday afternoon. I ordered black coffee and sat near the window with a clear view of the door. At exactly 2 p.m., a woman walked in. Mid-30s, dark hair pulled back, wearing a gray blazer and carrying a leather folder. She looked calm, composed, like she'd done this before. She scanned the room, made eye contact with me, and walked over. "Ethan?" I stood. "Vanessa?" We shook hands. Hers was steady, no tremor, no hesitation. She sat across from me, set the folder on the table, and folded her hands over it. "Thank you for meeting me. How did you find me?" "Mara's LinkedIn. She lists you in her profile bio. Supported by my wonderful partner, Ethan. I looked you up. Figured you didn't know what was going on. I know now." She studied my face for a moment. "How long have you known?" "A week, maybe less. I found messages on our shared laptop. They've been planning a wedding." Vanessa nodded slowly. "I found a venue invoice. That's how I knew." She opened the folder and slid a printed document across the table. It was an invoice from a wedding venue. A garden estate outside the city, $5,000 deposit, paid in full 3 months ago. The names listed: groom, Derek Kane; bride, Mara Brennan. I stared at the name. Brennan. That's his last name. "Yes." She's using his last name like she's already married to him. Vanessa's jaw tightened. "She paid this deposit 3 months ago. Derek and I have been married for 6 years. I looked up at her. Her face was controlled, but I could see the anger underneath. The same cold, methodical anger I was carrying. "How did you find the invoice?" "I'm the HR director at their company. A venue coordinator called me 2 weeks ago to confirm catering numbers. She thought I was the bride because the paperwork listed Derek's emergency contact, me, as the point of contact. When I told her I didn't book a wedding, she got confused and sent me the invoice." Jesus. I confronted Derek. He said it was a misunderstanding, a prank by a coworker. He laughed it off. But I didn't believe him, so I started looking. She pulled out another document, screenshots of text messages. "These are from Derek's phone. I checked it while he was asleep. He doesn't know I saw them." I scanned the messages. They matched the ones I'd found on Mara's laptop. Same timeline, same language, same plans. "I have the same messages," I said. "From Mara's account." Vanessa leaned back. "So we both have proof." "We do." She looked at me carefully. "What do you want to do about it?" "I don't know yet. I'm still figuring that out." "I know what I want to do." "What's that?" "I want them both fired. I want their reputations destroyed. I want everyone who knows them to see exactly what kind of people they are." Her voice was calm, matter of fact, like she was describing a project plan. I understood that tone. I'd used it myself in incident reports. Remove emotion, state facts, let the evidence speak. "You said you're the HR director." "I am." "Can you act on this? Isn't it a conflict of interest?" "Normally, yes. But Derek and Mara violated company policy. Romantic relationships between employees must be disclosed to HR. They didn't disclose. That's a fireable offense regardless of my personal involvement. Have other people complained about Derek? She hesitated, then nodded. Twice in the last 3 years. Both complaints were withdrawn before formal investigation. I wasn't HR director then. I was in compliance. But I remember the cases. What happened? Derek's well connected. He has allies in senior management. The complaints were quietly buried. The women who filed them left the company within 6 months. So he's done this before? I think so, but I can't prove it. The complaints were withdrawn, so the files were purged per company policy. I thought about that. A pattern predator protected by institutional power. It happened more often than people wanted to admit. If you file a formal complaint now, will it stick? If I have enough evidence, yes. The new CEO has a zero-tolerance policy on workplace misconduct. If I can show clear policy violations with documentation, Derek won't be able to hide behind his connections. What about Mara? Same. If she's involved in an undisclosed relationship and using company resources to facilitate it, she's also in violation. What counts as company resources? Time, email, company devices, work trips. If they've been using any of that to conduct their affair, it's a violation. I thought about the hotel charges, the late-night meetings, the client debrief that was actually a dinner date. I have hotel receipts, charges on our joint credit card. Mara said she was working late, but her work calendar shows no meetings those nights. Vanessa pulled out a notebook. What dates? I recited them from memory. She wrote them down. I'll cross-reference with Derek's calendar. If he has the same gaps, that's corroboration. You can access his work calendar? I'm HR director. I have access to all employee calendars for compliance reviews. Is that legal? It's company policy. Employees consent to it when they're hired. I nodded. What about the venue invoice? Is that enough to prove intent? It proves Mara paid for a wedding venue using a false married name. That's fraud. It also proves premeditation. This wasn't a spontaneous affair. They planned a future together. But Derek's already married to you. Exactly. Which means Mara either didn't know, which makes her a victim of Derek's deception, or she did know, which makes her complicit in planning bigamy. How do we find out which? Vanessa pulled out her phone and opened a photo. It was a screenshot from Derek's social media, a family photo from 2 years ago. Derek and Vanessa at a company holiday party. The caption identified her as his wife. This photo is public. It's been on his profile for 2 years. If Mara looked at his social media even once, she'd know he was married. I thought about Mara's message thread, the way she talked about Derek, the planning, the excitement. She knew, I said. How can you be sure? Because in the messages, she talks about how hard it is to wait, how she wishes they didn't have to hide. If she thought Derek was single, there'd be no reason to hide. She'd be excited to go public. Vanessa closed her eyes briefly. You're right. I'm sorry. Don't be. I need to know the truth. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Vanessa said, I want to coordinate. If we both file complaints at the same time with corroborating evidence, the company can't ignore it. Derek won't be able to spin a narrative. Mara won't be able to play victim. What kind of complaints? I'll file an HR policy violation report. Undisclosed workplace relationship, misuse of company time and resources. You file a formal statement as a witness. You're not an employee, but you're a directly affected party. Your statement will carry weight. What happens after we file? The compliance officer reviews the evidence. If violations are confirmed, there's a mandatory hearing. That's company policy. The hearing happens at the quarterly all-hands meeting. Public? Yes. Over 200 employees attend. It's how the company demonstrates accountability. When's the next all-hands? Thursday, 3 days from now. I felt something shift in my chest. 3 days. That was fast. What if they try to cover it up before then? They won't have time. I'll file the complaint Wednesday morning. The compliance officer is required to notify the accused within 4 hours. By the time Derek and Mara know what's happening, the hearing will be locked in. What do you need from me? Everything you have. Messages, receipts, photos, timeline. I'll combine it with my evidence and submit it as a joint complaint. I pulled out my phone and opened the encrypted folder where I'd stored everything. I have screenshots of their message thread, 3 months of correspondence, wedding planning documents, venue photos, 2 hotel receipts from our joint credit card, photos of Mara getting into Derek's car, a screenshot of Derek's social media post from a restaurant with Mara in the background, and a witness statement from a hotel front desk clerk confirming a 2-night stay under Mara's name. Vanessa stared at me. You documented all of that in a week? I'm a fire inspector. Documentation is what I do. That's more than I have. What do you have? The venue invoice, Derek's text messages, calendar gaps showing undisclosed absences, and 2 prior HR complaints against Derek that were withdrawn but still exist in backup files. Can you access those backups? Not officially, but I know where they are. If you use them, won't that be a conflict of interest? Not if I'm presenting them as part of a pattern of behavior analysis. The compliance officer can request historical records during an investigation. I'll suggest he do that. I nodded. When do you need my evidence? Can you send it tonight? Yes. She wrote down an email address. Send everything to this address. It's a secure server we use for confidential HR matters. I'll compile everything into a formal complaint packet and submit it tomorrow morning. What happens after the hearing? If the violations are confirmed, both Derek and Mara will be terminated immediately. They'll be escorted out by security, their access to company systems will be revoked, and their terminations will be added to their employment records. Will that affect their ability to get other jobs? Yes. Most companies do reference checks. Termination for policy violations is a red flag. It won't blacklist them completely, but it'll make things harder. Good. Vanessa looked at me. You're angrier than you seem. I'm a fire inspector. I'm trained to stay calm during emergencies. This isn't an emergency. It feels like one. She nodded. I understand. We sat quietly for a moment. Then Vanessa said, I need to ask you something. Go ahead. Are you doing this for revenge or for justice? I thought about that. I don't know. Maybe both. That's honest. What about you? Same. I want Derek to face consequences, but I also want to make sure he doesn't do this to someone else. Do you think he will? If we don't stop him, yes. Men like Derek don't change. They just find new targets. I believed her. We finished our coffee and stood to leave. Vanessa held out her hand again. Thank you for meeting me, Ethan. I know this isn't easy. Thank you for reaching out. I'll email you tomorrow after I file the complaint. Stay ready for Thursday. I will. She walked out, and I stayed behind for a few minutes, staring at the evidence folder on my phone. 3 days. In 3 days, Mara and Derek would be confronted publicly in front of 200 people. In 3 days, their carefully constructed lies would collapse. I thought about Mara coming home tonight, kissing me hello, asking about my day, pretending everything was normal. I thought about Derek sitting in his office, confident and untouchable, protected by his connections and his charm. They had no idea what was coming. I finished my coffee, left the cafe, and drove home. Mara was already there. She was cooking dinner, pasta with marinara. She smiled when I walked in. Hey, how was your day? Quiet. Yours? Busy. Derek and I are presenting to a new client Friday. Big opportunity. That's great. She kissed my cheek. I'm glad you're home. I missed you. I looked at her. She looked happy, relaxed, completely at ease. I missed you too, I said. She went back to cooking. I sat at the table and watched her move around the kitchen, humming softly, stirring sauce, tasting it, adding salt. She had no idea, and in 3 days, she'd know everything. I pulled out my phone and started composing the email to Vanessa. I attached every file, every screenshot, every receipt, every photo. I wrote a brief summary. Evidence as discussed. Let me know if you need anything else. I hit send, then I put my phone away and went to set the table. Mara served dinner. We ate and talked about nothing important. She told me about her day. I told her about mine. We did the dishes together, watched half an episode of something forgettable. And when we went to bed, she curled up beside me and fell asleep almost immediately. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, counting down the hours until Thursday. 3 days. Wednesday morning, Mara left for work at 7:30. She kissed me goodbye, said she loved me, and told me she'd probably be late again tonight. Another client prep session with Derek. I said that was fine. I'd see her when she got home. She left. I waited 5 minutes, then checked my email. Vanessa had written at 6 a.m. Complaint filed, case number logged. Compliance officer Jordan Mills assigned. Derek and Mara will be notified by noon. All hands confirmation, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Be ready. I read it twice, then deleted it. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, thinking about what came next. By noon, Derek and Mara would know. They'd get official emails from Jordan Mills, the compliance officer, informing them of a workplace investigation and mandatory attendance at tomorrow's all-hands meeting. They'd panic. They'd try to coordinate a response. They'd call each other, compare stories, figure out who talked and how much evidence existed. And then one of them, probably Mara, would come to me and try to explain. I needed to be ready for that. Around 10, I drove to my sister Leah's apartment. She's a freelance graphic designer, works from home, and she's the only family I have in the city. I knocked. She answered in sweatpants and an oversized hoodie, holding a coffee mug. "Ethan, what's wrong? Can I come in?" "Of course." She let me in. Her apartment was small, cluttered with design mock-ups and sketches. She cleared space on the couch and we sat. "What's going on?" she asked. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." Her face got serious. "Okay. Did Mara ever ask you to cover for her?" Leah's expression shifted. Guilt flashed across her face. "Cover for her how?" "Alibi. Did she ever ask you to tell me she was with you when she wasn't?" Leah looked down at her coffee. "Once." "When?" "2 months ago. Maybe a little more. She called me and said she needed a favor. She asked if I could tell you she was helping me with a client pitch if you asked about that weekend." "Did she say why?" "She said she was planning a surprise for you and didn't want you to get suspicious." "Did you believe her?" Leah hesitated. "At the time, yes. But looking back, I don't know. She seemed nervous. And she made me promise not to mention it unless you specifically asked." "Did I ask?" "No, you never brought it up, so I didn't say anything." I pulled out my phone and showed her the hotel receipt. The date matched exactly. Leah stared at it. Oh my God. She wasn't planning a surprise. She was at a hotel with someone else. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." "I believe you." "What are you going to do?" "I've already done it. There's a hearing tomorrow. Mara and the man she's been seeing are both going to be confronted publicly." Leah's eyes went wide. "Publicly?" "Company all-hands meeting. Over 200 people." "Jesus, that's brutal." "She planned to marry him, Leah, while we were still together. She paid for a wedding venue. She wrote vows." Leah put her hand over her mouth. "I don't even know what to say. I need you to do something for me. Anything. Text Mara. Ask her why she lied to you about needing an alibi." "Right now?" "Yes." Leah picked up her phone. Her hands were shaking slightly. She typed, "Hey Mara, I've been thinking about that weekend you asked me to cover for you. Why did you really need an alibi?" She hit send. We waited. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Finally, Mara replied. "What are you talking about?" Leah showed me the message. I nodded. "Send this. You asked me to tell Ethan you were helping me with a client pitch. But you weren't with me that weekend. Where were you?" Leah typed it and sent it. Another 5-minute wait. Then, "I don't remember asking you to do that. You must be confused." Leah looked at me. "She's lying." "Screenshot that. Both messages." Leah took screenshots and texted them to me. "Send one more. I'm not confused, Mara. I have the texts where you asked me to lie. Why did you need me to cover for you?" Leah sent it. This time, Mara didn't reply. Leah put her phone down. "She's going to know I told you. She'll know tomorrow anyway. Are you sure you want to do this? It's going to be ugly." "It's already ugly. I'm just making it visible." Leah nodded slowly. "I support you. Whatever you need." "Thank you." I left her apartment and drove home. At noon, my phone buzzed. A text from Mara. "Can you call me?" I didn't respond. Another text 5 minutes later. "Ethan, please, I need to talk to you." I turned my phone off. Around 2, I heard her car pull into the driveway. She wasn't supposed to be home for hours. The door opened. Mara came in, face flushed, eyes red. She'd been crying. "Ethan." I was sitting on the couch. I didn't stand. "What's going on?" I asked. "I got an email from HR. There's some kind of investigation. They're saying I violated company policy." "What policy?" "I don't know. The email didn't say. It just said I have to attend a compliance hearing tomorrow at the all-hands meeting." "Did Derek get the same email?" Her face went pale. "How did you know about Derek?" "Answer the question." Yes, he got the same email. So you two talked about it." "He called me. We're both confused. We don't know what this is about." I stood up and walked to the kitchen. I poured a glass of water, took my time, then turned to face her. "I know about the affair, Mara." She froze. "What?" "I know about Derek. I know about the wedding venue. I know about the hotels. I know everything." Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "I found the messages on our laptop 2 weeks ago. I've been documenting everything since then. Hotel receipts, calendar conflicts, social media posts. I have it all. Ethan, please let me explain. I also know you used our joint credit card to pay for those hotels. That's fraud. And I know you asked my sister to lie for you. That makes her a witness. Mara's legs seemed to give out. She sat down hard on the couch. I didn't mean for this to happen. You paid $5,000 for a wedding venue. You wrote vows, you planned a ceremony for June. That's not something that just happens. It was a mistake. I was confused. I wasn't thinking clearly. You used his last name, Mara Brennan. You paid for a wedding venue using a married name that isn't yours. She started crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Derek's already married. She looked up, confused. What? Derek has a wife? Her name is Vanessa. She's the HR director at your company. Mara's face went white. No, that's not. He told me he was divorced. He lied. No, he wouldn't. I met with Vanessa yesterday. She showed me the venue invoice. She has the same messages you and Derek sent to each other. We filed the HR complaint together. Mara stood up. You did this? You're the one who filed the complaint? Vanessa filed it. I provided evidence. You're trying to destroy me. I'm telling the truth. You destroyed yourself. She started pacing. I'll lose my job. Everyone will know. My career is over. You should have thought about that before you planned to marry a man who's already married. I didn't know he was married. His social media profile lists Vanessa as his wife. The photo's been public for 2 years. You knew. She stopped pacing. You've been planning this. You've been waiting to humiliate me. I've been documenting your lies. There's a difference. Why didn't you just confront me? Why drag this into my workplace? Because you would have deleted everything, coordinated a story with Derek, and gaslit me into believing I was paranoid. This way, the evidence speaks for itself. She stared at me. I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you were planning to marry someone else while living with me. I loved you. I still love you. No, you don't. You loved the stability I provided while you built a fantasy with someone else. Her phone buzzed. She looked at it. Her face crumpled. Derek just texted. He says we need to get our story straight before tomorrow. You can't get your story straight. The evidence doesn't lie. What do you want from me, Ethan? Nothing. I want you to face the consequences of your choices. I'll lose everything. So did I. She sat back down, buried her face in her hands, and sobbed. I watched her for a moment, feeling nothing. Then I walked to the bedroom, packed a bag, and came back out. I'm staying somewhere else tonight. I'll be at the hearing tomorrow. After that, we'll figure out what happens with the apartment and the joint accounts. Ethan, please don't leave. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. I walked to the door. She called after me. I never wanted to hurt you. I stopped, turned around. But you did. You hurt me deliberately. Every single day for months. You looked me in the eye and lied. You kissed me goodnight after spending the evening with him. You used our money to pay for hotel rooms. You asked my sister to cover your lies. That wasn't accidental. That was a choice. I'm sorry. So am I. I left. I drove to a hotel near the convention center where tomorrow's all-hands meeting would be held. I checked in, went to my room, and sat on the bed. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. Mara knows? Yes. She confronted me an hour ago. Derek knows too. He called me. Tried to convince me to drop the complaint. I refused. What did he say? That it was a misunderstanding. That Mara pursued him and he was trying to let her down gently. That the venue invoice was a prank. Do you believe him? No. I told him I'd see him at the hearing. How are you holding up? Better than I expected. You? Same. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be difficult. I know. I put the phone down and lay back on the bed. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., Mara and Derek would walk into that conference center. They'd see 200 of their coworkers. They'd see Vanessa and me sitting in the front row, and they'd hear Jordan Mills read out the evidence. Every message, every receipt, every lie. They'd try to defend themselves. They'd stumble over explanations. They'd contradict each other. And then Jordan would enforce company policy, termination, immediate, public, witnessed by everyone they worked with. I thought about Mara sitting on the couch, crying, asking why I didn't just confront her privately. Because private confrontations can be rewritten. Memories are unreliable. People convince themselves they said things they didn't, remember events that never happened. But public evidence, documented and time-stamped and corroborated by third parties, can't be rewritten. It just is. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep. I didn't sleep much. Around midnight, my phone buzzed, a text from Mara. I know you won't forgive me, but I need you to know I never stopped loving you. I just got lost. I'm sorry. I read it 3 times. Then I turned my phone off and rolled over. Tomorrow would be the end of this. And after tomorrow, I could start figuring out what came next. But tonight, I just needed to get through the next 14 hours. 14 hours until 2 p.m. 14 hours until the all-hands meeting. 14 hours until Mara and Derek stood in front of 200 people and faced the truth they'd been running from. I stared at the ceiling and counted down the hours until morning. Thursday morning arrived cold and gray. I woke up at 6, showered, and put on a suit. Dark gray, white shirt, no tie. Professional but not formal. I wanted to blend into the crowd of employees, not stand out. I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Mara, 2 voicemails I didn't listen to. A text from Vanessa at 5 a.m. Ready for today? I replied. Yes. See you at 1:30. The all-hands meeting started at 2. Vanessa and I agreed to arrive 30 minutes early to coordinate with Jordan Mills. I had breakfast at the hotel restaurant, coffee and toast. I couldn't stomach much else. At noon, I drove to the convention center. It was a large building downtown, used for corporate events and conferences. Mara's company rented it every quarter for all-hands meetings. I parked in the garage and walked to the main entrance. The lobby was empty except for a few catering staff setting up coffee stations. I found the conference room. It was massive. Theater-style seating for at least 250 people. A stage at the front with a podium, screen, and AV setup. Jordan Mills was on stage, reviewing notes on a laptop. He was in his early 40s, bald, wearing glasses and a blue suit. He looked methodical, precise. I approached the stage. Jordan Mills? He looked up. Ethan Cole? Yes. He climbed down from the stage and shook my hand. Vanessa told me you'd be here early. Thank you for coming. Of course. I've reviewed the evidence packet you and Vanessa submitted. It's thorough, very thorough. I work in fire investigations. Documentation is second nature. It shows I've been a compliance officer for 12 years. I've never seen a case this well documented by civilians. Is the evidence sufficient? More than sufficient. The policy violations are clear. Undisclosed workplace relationship, misuse of company time and resources, fraudulent expense claims, and the venue invoice adds another layer, intent to commit bigamy or, at minimum, fraud using a false married name. What happens today? I'll present a summary of the allegations during the Q&A portion of the meeting. I'll ask Mr. Kane and Ms. Lane to respond. Depending on their responses, I'll present corroborating evidence. Then I'll announce the findings and enforcement action. Which is termination. Yes, immediate termination for both parties. Security will escort them out. Their access to company systems will be revoked within the hour. Will they have a chance to appeal? They can request a review by the executive board, but given the evidence, an appeal is unlikely to succeed. How long does an appeal take? 30 days minimum. During that time, the termination stands. They'll be barred from company property and stripped of all access. I nodded. What do you need from me? Just be here. Sit in the front row. If either of them tries to discredit the evidence, I may ask you to verify dates or provide context. Keep your answers short and factual. Understood. Vanessa arrived at 1:30. She was wearing a black blazer and carrying the same leather folder from our coffee shop meeting. She looked calm, but I could see tension in her shoulders. Jordan greeted her. Vanessa, good to see you. Jordan, thank you for handling this. It's my job. Are you ready? I am. Jordan glanced between us. I want to be clear about something. This is going to be uncomfortable. Derek and Mara will be humiliated. People will stare. Some will record it on their phones. It's going to feel brutal. I understand, Vanessa said. Me too, I added. Good, because once we start, we can't stop. Company policy requires public accountability for policy violations. That's non-negotiable. We're not asking you to stop, Vanessa said. Jordan nodded. Then let's go over the sequence. He walked us through the plan. The meeting would start with routine business, quarterly results, project updates, announcements. That would take about an hour. Then Jordan would open the floor for Q&A. That's when he'd introduce the compliance matter. He'd summarize the allegations without naming Derek and Mara initially. Then he'd ask if the involved parties wanted to respond. If they stayed silent, he'd name them and present evidence. If they tried to defend themselves, he'd present evidence that contradicted their explanations. Either way, the evidence would be shown publicly, on the big screen, for everyone to see. Questions? Jordan asked. What if they don't show up? I asked. Attendance is mandatory. If they don't attend, it's treated as insubordination and the termination proceeds in absentia. But they'll show up. They don't know what we have yet. They'll think they can talk their way out of it. What if they try to leave during the presentation? Security will be stationed at the exits. They won't be allowed to leave until I dismiss them. Vanessa looked at Jordan. You've done this before. Twice. Both times for financial misconduct. This is my first extramarital affair case, but the protocol is the same. At 1:50, employees started filing in. They came in clusters, chatting, holding coffee cups, finding seats. Most looked bored. This was just another quarterly meeting. Vanessa and I took seats in the front row, far left side. We had a clear view of the stage and the entrance. At 1:55, Mara walked in. She looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, makeup hastily applied, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She was wearing a black dress and heels, but the outfit looked thrown together. She scanned the room, saw me, and froze. I didn't react. I just looked at her. She looked away quickly and found a seat near the back, far from the stage. At 1:58, Derek arrived. He looked better than Mara. Suit pressed, hair styled, confident stride. But I could see the tension in his jaw. He knew something was wrong. He spotted Vanessa in the front row, and his confidence faltered. He stopped mid-stride, then recovered, and found a seat on the opposite side of the room from Mara. At 2 p.m., Jordan stepped up to the podium. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending our Q1 all-hands meeting. We have a full agenda today, so let's get started. He launched into the quarterly results. Revenue up 12%. 3 new clients signed. 2 major projects completed ahead of schedule. The room listened politely. A few people took notes. Most just stared at the screen. 45 minutes in, Jordan moved to project updates. The marketing team presented their Q2 campaign strategy. The sales team reviewed pipeline forecasts. Mara's name was mentioned once. She'd contributed to a successful client pitch. A few people clapped politely. Derek's name was mentioned twice. He'd closed 2 major deals. More applause. Neither of them reacted. They sat stone-faced, waiting. At 3:15, Jordan opened Q&A. We have 15 minutes for questions. Anyone? A hand went up. Someone asked about remote work policy. Jordan answered. Another hand. A question about PTO rollover. Jordan answered. Then he said, I have one item to address before we close. It's a compliance matter. The room shifted. Compliance matters were rare. People sat up straighter. Jordan pulled up a slide. It was titled, Workplace Policy Violation Investigation. Company policy requires all employees to disclose romantic relationships with coworkers to HR. This policy exists to prevent conflicts of interest, favoritism, and misuse of company resources. The room was silent now. Jordan continued. 2 weeks ago, I received a formal complaint alleging that 2 employees engaged in an undisclosed romantic relationship and used company time and resources to facilitate that relationship. Murmurs spread through the room. I conducted a thorough investigation. The evidence includes message correspondence, financial records, witness statements, and calendar audits. The investigation confirmed multiple policy violations. Mara's face had gone white. Derek was staring straight ahead, fists clenched. Jordan looked out at the audience. The involved parties are present today. Before I announce findings, I'm offering them an opportunity to respond. Ms. Mara Lane and Mr. Derek Kane, would you like to address these allegations? Every head in the room turned. People searched for Mara and Derek. Mara shrank in her seat. Derek didn't move. Jordan waited 10 seconds. Ms. Lane? Mr. Kane? Derek stood slowly. This is inappropriate. Compliance matters should be handled privately. Company policy requires public disclosure of enforcement actions, Jordan said calmly. You were notified of this investigation yesterday. You had the option to respond in writing. You chose not to. This is your final opportunity. I'm not responding to baseless allegations in front of the entire company. The allegations are not baseless. Would you like me to present the evidence? Derek's jaw tightened. Do what you want. He sat down. Jordan looked at Mara. Ms. Lane? Mara shook her head, eyes down. Very well. Jordan clicked to the next slide. It was a timeline. Dates, locations, and brief descriptions. March 15th. First documented message exchange expressing romantic interest. March 22nd. Hotel stay, boutique property downtown, paid via joint credit card not belonging to either employee. April 3, venue deposit paid, $5,000. Bride listed as Mara Brennan. April 10th, second hotel stay, same property. April 18th, message exchange discussing wedding vows. The room erupted in whispers. Jordan continued. The investigation revealed that Ms. Lane and Mr. Kane have been engaged in a romantic relationship for approximately 4 months. Neither disclosed this relationship to HR as required by policy. He clicked to the next slide. It was a screenshot of a message thread. Derek, I can't wait to marry you. Mara, June 14th feels so far away. Derek, it'll be worth the wait. The room went completely silent. Jordan clicked again. The wedding venue invoice appeared on screen. Groom, Derek Kane. Bride, Mara Brennan ceremony. Date, June 14th. Deposit, $5,000. Someone in the audience gasped. Jordan said, Ms. Lane paid this deposit using a married name, Brennan, which is Mr. Kane's last name. However, Ms. Lane is not married to Mr. Kane. Mr. Kane is married to someone else. All eyes turned to Vanessa. She sat perfectly still, face neutral. Jordan continued. This constitutes fraud. Additionally, the relationship was facilitated using company time. Calendar audits show both employees had unexplained absences during work hours that corresponded with hotel stays. Derek stood up. You have no right to invade our privacy like this. I have every right. You consented to calendar audits when you were hired, and you violated company policy. Your privacy does not supersede institutional accountability. This evidence could be fabricated. Jordan clicked to another slide. All evidence has been authenticated. Message metadata confirms timestamps and device origins. Financial records were provided by affected third parties, specifically Ms. Lane's domestic partner, who co-owns the credit card used for hotel expenses. Derek turned and looked directly at me. I stared back. He looked away first. Jordan said, Mr. Kane, Ms. Lane, based on the evidence, I am issuing the following findings. Both of you violated Section 4.7 of the Employee Handbook, failure to disclose a romantic relationship. Both of you violated Section 6.2, misuse of company time. And Ms. Lane, you violated Section 9.4, fraudulent financial activity by using a false married name to secure vendor services. Mara started crying audibly. Jordan's voice remained steady. Effective immediately. Both of your employments are terminated. Security will escort you from the premises. Your access to company systems has been revoked. You will receive exit interview scheduling within 24 hours. 2 security guards appeared at the side doors. Derek stood. This is bullshit. I'll appeal. You have that right. The appeal process is outlined in your termination letter, which you'll receive by end of business today. Derek walked toward the exit. The guard stepped beside him, not touching, just present. Mara didn't move. She sat frozen, crying. Vanessa stood and walked over to her. She didn't say anything. She just stood there until Mara looked up. Come on, Vanessa said quietly. It's over. Mara stood shakily. The second guard escorted her toward the exit. As they walked past me, Mara looked at me one last time. Her face was destroyed. Mascara running, eyes red, mouth trembling. I didn't look away, but I didn't say anything either. She left. The room stayed silent until both exits closed. Then the whispers exploded. Jordan clicked off the projector. That concludes our all-hands meeting. Thank you for your time. People started standing, pulling out phones, talking rapidly. Vanessa sat back down beside me. It's done. It's done, I repeated. We sat there for a moment while the room emptied around us. Jordan came down from the stage. Are you both all right? Yes, Vanessa said. Thank you, I said. You're welcome. I'll send you both copies of the official termination documentation. If either of them tries to contact you, let me know immediately. We nodded. Jordan left. Vanessa and I walked out together. The lobby was full of employees clustered in groups, talking, gesturing, replaying what they'd just seen. We walked past them and out to the parking garage. What now? Vanessa asked. I don't know. I guess I start figuring out how to move forward. Me too. Are you going to be okay? Eventually, you? Eventually. She smiled slightly. Thank you, Ethan. I couldn't have done this alone. Neither could I. We shook hands one last time. Then she got in her car and drove away. I stood there in the parking garage for a few minutes, letting the adrenaline drain. It was over. Mara and Derek were fired, their reputations destroyed, their plans shattered, and I was standing here, alone, trying to figure out what came next. I got in my car, started the engine, and sat there. Then I drove back to the hotel. Tomorrow I'd start rebuilding, but tonight I just needed to breathe. I spent Thursday night at the hotel doing nothing. No TV, no phone, no distractions. Just silence and the slow realization that the thing I'd been working toward for 2 weeks was finished. Mara was fired. Derek was fired. The evidence was on record. 200 people had witnessed their humiliation. It should have felt like closure. It didn't. I felt hollow. Like I'd been running on adrenaline for so long that now, with nothing left to chase, my body didn't know what to do. Around midnight, I checked my phone. 17 missed calls from Mara. 6 voicemails. I didn't listen to any of them. There was also a text from Vanessa. Derek showed up at the house. I called the police. They escorted him off the property. He's staying with a friend. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. I replied. I'm sorry. Let me know if you need anything. You too. Take care of yourself, Ethan. I put the phone down and tried to sleep. I managed a few hours. Friday morning, I checked out of the hotel and drove to the apartment. I didn't know if Mara would be there, but I needed to get my things either way. Her car wasn't in the driveway. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The apartment was quiet, empty. I walked through slowly, looking for signs of where she'd gone. Her work bag was gone, her laptop. Most of her clothes were still in the closet, but a few key items were missing. Running shoes, her favorite jacket, toiletries. She'd left in a hurry. On the kitchen counter, there was a handwritten note. Ethan, I'm staying with my parents. I can't be here right now. I don't know what to say to you except I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. I know I destroyed everything. I'll come back for my things when you're not here. I don't want to see you. I can't. Please leave me alone. Mara. I read it twice, then folded it and put it in my pocket. I spent the next 2 hours packing my essentials, clothes, documents, work gear. I left everything joint. Furniture, dishes, shared purchases, untouched. We'd have to sort that out eventually, but not today. I loaded my car and drove to my sister Leah's apartment. She opened the door before I knocked. I heard what happened. Are you okay? I don't know. Come in. I brought my bags inside. She made coffee and we sat at her cluttered kitchen table. Everyone's talking about it, she said. One of Mara's coworkers posted about it on social media. It's all over the company's Slack. People are calling it the most brutal firings they've ever seen. Good. Is it? Good? I thought about that. I don't know. Maybe. It's done. That's all I know. What are you going to do now? Find a new place. Figure out the joint accounts. File for separation or divorce or whatever the legal term is. Do you need a lawyer? Probably. Vanessa recommended someone. I'll call them Monday. Leah sipped her coffee. I feel terrible. I helped her lie to you. Even if I didn't know what I was doing, I still did it. It's not your fault. But if I'd said no, she would have found someone else, or lied without backup. You didn't enable her, she used you. Leah nodded, but I could see the guilt still sitting on her shoulders. Can I stay here for a few days? I asked. Just until I find a place. Of course. Stay as long as you need. Thank you. I spent the weekend looking at apartments. Small one-bedrooms, mostly. Places with no memories. Clean slates. By Sunday evening, I'd put down a deposit on a place near the fire station. Move-in date was the 1st of next month. 2 weeks away. Monday morning, I went back to work. First shift in over a week. My partner Steve was already at the station when I arrived. He looked up from his coffee. Cole, you're alive. Barely. Heard you had a rough week. You could say that. He didn't push. That's what I appreciated about Steve. He knew when to talk and when to shut up. We ran 4 calls that day. A kitchen fire in an apartment complex, a car accident with minor smoke inhalation, 2 false alarms. The work felt good. Focused. Clear. There were problems with solutions, evidence with conclusions. Fire doesn't lie. It just burns. That evening, I called the lawyer Vanessa recommended. Her name was Patricia Lim. She specialized in family law. I explained the situation. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, Do you want a legal separation or a divorce? What's the difference? Separation is faster and cheaper. You stay legally married but live separately. Assets are divided. After a waiting period, you can convert it to a divorce. Divorce is final and severs the marriage completely, but it takes longer. How much longer? In this state, minimum 6 months from filing if uncontested, 12 if contested. Will Mara contest? Based on what you've told me, probably not. She has no leverage. The affair is documented. The fraud is documented. She'd lose in court and she knows it. Then I want a divorce. Understood. I'll draft the petition. You'll need to serve her with papers. That can be done by mail or in person via process server. Mail is fine. I'll handle it. Expect the first draft by Wednesday. We'll file by end of week. Thank you. One more thing, Mr. Cole. Do you want to pursue a civil claim for the joint account fraud? I thought about that. Would it go anywhere? Possibly. She used a joint account for personal expenses without your knowledge. That's misuse of shared assets. You could sue for reimbursement plus damages, but it would be costly and time-consuming. Not worth it. Understood. Let's focus on the divorce. I hung up and sat in Leah's living room, staring at nothing. Divorce. The word felt heavier than I expected. Tuesday, I got a call from Jordan Mills. Ethan, I wanted to update you. Derek Kane filed an appeal. It was denied this morning. That was fast. The executive board reviewed the evidence. The denial was unanimous. His termination stands. What about Mara? She didn't appeal? Her termination is final. Do you know where she is? She's not my concern anymore, but I heard through HR that she moved back to her parents' house out of state. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Of course. I also want you to know that your evidence was used as a model case in our updated compliance training. With your permission, we'd like to reference it in future materials. No names, just the structure and documentation method. That's fine. Thank you, and Ethan. What you did wasn't easy, but it was right. You held people accountable when it would have been easier to look the other way. I didn't have a choice. You did. You could have walked away quietly. Most people do. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just said thank you and hung up. Wednesday, Patricia emailed me the draft divorce petition. It was 18 pages. Grounds for divorce. Irreconcilable differences and adultery. Asset division. 50-50 split of joint accounts. Apartment lease transferred to Mara if she wanted it, or dissolved if not. No alimony. No contested assets. I read it twice, signed it electronically, and sent it back. Patricia replied, Filing tomorrow. Mara will be served by mail within 5 business days. Thursday evening, I got a text from Vanessa. How are you holding up? Day by day. You? Same. Divorce filed. Derek's trying to negotiate terms. I'm not negotiating. Good. I found out something. Thought you should know. What? Derek had a file on his laptop. Encrypted folder. I had IT pull it during the asset inventory. What was in it? Photos, videos, text screenshots, 5 different women over the last 3 years. Mara was just the most recent. I felt cold. Did the women know? No, he recorded them without consent. I contacted 3 of them. 2 are considering legal action. 1 already filed a police report. Jesus, he's not just a cheater, he's a predator. Does Mara know? I don't know. I haven't spoken to her. Are you going to tell her? I don't know. Part of me thinks she deserves to know what kind of man she was planning to marry. Part of me thinks she made her choice and has to live with it. Let her live with it. Vanessa was quiet for a moment. You're angrier than I thought? I spent 2 weeks watching her lie to my face. She doesn't get my sympathy. Fair enough. What are you going to do with the file? I turned it over to the police. If Derek recorded people without consent, that's a crime in this state. The DA is reviewing it. Will he be charged? Maybe. Depends on what the DA finds. But even if he's not charged, the civil suits will bury him. Good. Ethan, are you okay? Really? I don't know. I'm functional. That's all I can say right now. That's enough. Take care of yourself. You too. Friday afternoon, I moved into my new apartment. It was small, 1 bedroom, tiny kitchen, no character. But it was mine. No shared memories, no ghosts. Leah helped me unpack. We set up the bed, organized the kitchen, hung a few basic things on the walls. When we finished, she stood in the middle of the living room and looked around. It's depressing. It's temporary. You need a plant, or a picture, something. I'll get to it eventually. She hugged me. I'm proud of you, you know. For what? For not falling apart. For handling this like an adult. A lot of people would have lost it. I came close. But you didn't. That counts? She left, and I sat on the couch in the empty apartment, listening to the silence. My phone buzzed, an email from Patricia. Mara has been served. She signed for the papers this morning. Her attorney contacted me. She's not contesting. Expects divorce to be finalized within 6 months. 6 months, half a year. Then it would be over completely. I replied, Thank you. Let me know if you need anything else from me. I put the phone down and closed my eyes. Saturday, I went back to the old apartment to finish packing. Mara had texted Leah asking if she could come by Sunday to get her things. I wanted to be done before then. I packed everything I wanted: books, a few kitchen items, some tools, left everything else. As I was loading the last box into my car, a neighbor approached. Older woman, lived 2 doors down. "Ethan, right?" "Yes." "I heard what happened. I'm sorry." "Thank you." For what it's worth, I saw them together a few times, late at night. I didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back, I should have said something. "It's not your fault." "I know. But still, I'm sorry." She walked away. I stood there for a moment, thinking about all the people who must have seen something and said nothing. The neighbor, the coworkers, the doorman at the hotel. Everyone saw, no one spoke. That's how these things work. People see pieces, but never the whole picture, and by the time someone connects the dots, it's too late. I drove back to my new apartment and unpacked the last box. Sunday, Leah texted me. "Mara picked up her stuff. She didn't ask about you." "Good." "She looked rough, like she hasn't slept in days." "Not my problem." "I know, just thought you should know." I didn't respond. That evening, I got an email from Vanessa. "Derek's been charged, 2 counts of unlawful surveillance. Bail set at $10,000. He posted it. Trial date set for 3 months from now." "Will you testify?" "If they ask me to, yes." "Let me know if you need anything." "Same to you." Monday morning, I went back to work. Normal schedule, normal calls, normal life. At lunch, Steve asked if I wanted to grab a beer after shift. "Not tonight. Maybe next week." "You doing okay, Cole?" "I'm getting there." "Good. Let me know if you need anything." "I will." I finished my shift and drove home. My new apartment still felt empty, but it was starting to feel like mine. I made dinner, pasta, simple marinara sauce. Ate alone at the small kitchen table. Then I sat on the couch and pulled out my phone. I opened the evidence folder one last time. Screenshots, receipts, photos, timeline. Everything that had destroyed Mara and Derek's lives. Everything that had saved mine. I stared at it for a long time. Then I closed the folder, backed it up to a secure drive, and deleted it from my phone. I didn't need it anymore. The evidence had done its job. Now I needed to figure out how to move forward without it. I turned off my phone, lay down on the couch, and for the first time in 3 weeks, I slept through the entire night. When I woke up Tuesday morning, the sun was coming through the window. It was a new day, and for the first time since this started, I felt like maybe I could handle it. 3 weeks passed. I worked my shifts, came home to the empty apartment, and slowly started filling the space with things that felt like mine. A bookshelf, a coffee maker that actually worked, a couch that didn't remind me of sitting next to Mara while she texted Derek. Small things, but they mattered. Patricia called on a Tuesday afternoon. "The divorce is progressing smoothly. Mara's attorney confirmed she's signing off on all terms, no disputes, no delays. We're on track for finalization in 5 months." "Good." "There's one more thing. Mara's attorney asked if you'd be willing to speak with her, just once, for closure." "No." "I told them you'd probably say that. Just wanted to pass along the request. Is there anything else?" "That's it. I'll update you when we're closer to the final decree." I hung up and went back to work. That evening, Leah stopped by with takeout. Chinese food. We ate on the couch and watched a documentary about volcanoes. Halfway through, she asked, "Have you thought about dating again?" "No." "You should, eventually." "It's been 3 weeks." "I know. I'm not saying now. I'm just saying eventually you're going to have to let someone in again." "Maybe." "You can't let what Mara did turn you into someone who doesn't trust anyone." "I'm not. I'm just being careful." "There's a difference between careful and closed off." "I know." She let it drop. The next day, I got a text from Vanessa. Derek's trial got moved up. 2 weeks from now. DA wants me to testify. Are you willing to testify if they call you?" "Yes." "What would I testify about?" "Timeline corroboration. You documented when Mara and Derek were together. That establishes pattern of behavior for the surveillance charges." "I'll do it. Thank you. I'll let the DA know." A week later, I got a call from the district attorney's office. A woman named Rachel Hernandez. "Mr. Cole, I'm prosecuting Derek Kane's case. Vanessa Kane provided your contact information. I'd like to ask you a few questions about the timeline you documented." "Go ahead." "You documented multiple instances of Ms. Lane and Mr. Kane meeting outside of work hours, correct?" "Yes. Messages, hotel stays, restaurant visits, all time-stamped and photographed." Did you ever see Mr. Kane with recording equipment? No, I didn't know about the recordings until after the all-hands meeting. But you can confirm that the dates you documented overlap with the dates of the recordings found on Mr. Kane's laptop? If you give me the dates, I can cross-reference. She read off 5 dates. I pulled up my evidence folder back up on my laptop. 4 of those dates match. March 22nd, April 3rd, April 10th, April 18th. I have hotel receipts and message timestamps for all 4. Perfect. I'd like you to testify to that at trial. You'll be corroborating the timeline and establishing that Mr. Kane's behavior was calculated, not spontaneous. I can do that. Thank you. I'll send you a subpoena. Trial is scheduled for October 14th. Expect to be on the stand for about 30 minutes. Understood. She hung up. October 14th. 2 weeks away. I'd have to see Derek again, sit in a courtroom, and answer questions about the evidence that destroyed his career and his marriage. Part of me dreaded it. Part of me wanted to watch him squirm. The weekend before the trial, Leah convinced me to go out. A bar downtown, nothing fancy, just a place to have a beer and be around people. We sat at a high-top table near the window. The place was crowded, music loud enough to drown out individual conversations. Leah ordered a whiskey sour. I got a beer. You've been holed up in that apartment for a month, she said. You need to be around people. I'm around people at work. That's different. You need to be around people when you're not working, normal social interaction. This counts as normal social interaction? It's a start. We drank and talked about nothing important. Her latest design project, a client who kept changing their mind, a trip she was planning to the coast. Halfway through my second beer, a woman approached our table. Mid-30s, blonde, wearing jeans and a leather jacket. Sorry to interrupt. Are you Ethan Cole? I tensed. Yes. I thought so. I'm Sophie. I used to work with Mara. Leah's eyes went wide. Sophie held up her hands. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for what happened. Mara was my friend. I didn't know what she was doing until the all-hands meeting. None of us did. Okay. I felt like I should say something. She used a lot of people. You, Vanessa, even Derek in a way. I don't think she ever thought about the consequences. She didn't. For what it's worth, she's not doing well. She moved back in with her parents, lost most of her friends, can't find work because the termination follows her. I'm aware, Sophie nodded. Anyway, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve what she did to you. Thank you. She walked back to her table. Leah stared at me. That was weird. Yeah? Are you okay? I'm fine. But I wasn't. Hearing about Mara, that she was struggling, isolated, unable to move forward, stirred something I didn't want to feel. Not sympathy, but not satisfaction either. Just a dull, tired ache. We finished our drinks and left. The night before the trial, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, running through the timeline in my head, making sure I had the dates right, making sure I wouldn't stumble under cross-examination. At 6 a.m., I gave up on sleep and made coffee. I put on a suit, dark blue, white shirt, plain tie, professional, respectful. The courthouse was downtown. I arrived at 8:30. The trial started at 9. Vanessa was already there, sitting on a bench outside the courtroom. She looked exhausted. Morning, I said. Morning, you ready? As ready as I'll ever be? Derek's lawyer is going to try to discredit you. Say you fabricated evidence out of jealousy. Don't let him rattle you. Just stick to the facts. I will. At 9, we were called into the courtroom. It was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, about 30 seats in the gallery. Derek sat at the defense table with his lawyer. He didn't look at me. The judge entered. We stood. The trial began. Rachel Hernandez gave her opening statement, concise, factual. Derek Kane recorded 5 women without their consent over a 3-year period. The recordings were explicit. The women were unaware. This violated state law. Derek's lawyer gave his opening. His client made a mistake. He didn't understand the law. The recordings were never shared. No harm was done. Rachel called her first witness, a woman named Emily, early 30s, nervous, hands shaking. She testified that she'd had a brief relationship with Derek 2 years ago. She didn't know she was being recorded. When she found out, she felt violated, humiliated. Derek's lawyer cross-examined, asked if Derek had ever threatened her, if he'd ever shared the recordings, if she'd suffered any tangible harm. She said no to all 3, but her voice was steady when she said, "He took something from me without my permission. That's harm enough." The second witness was another woman. Similar story. Brief relationship, no knowledge of recordings, devastation when she found out. Then Rachel called Vanessa. Vanessa walked to the stand, was sworn in, and sat down. Rachel asked her to describe how she discovered the recordings. Vanessa explained calmly. The venue invoice, the suspicion, the IT forensic pull during the divorce asset inventory. What did you find? Rachel asked. An encrypted folder, 5 subfolders, each labeled with a woman's first name, each containing videos, photos, and message screenshots. Did you recognize any of the women? 3 of them. All worked at the same company as Derek. 2 have since left. Did the women know they were being recorded? No. I contacted all 5. None of them knew. Derek's lawyer stood. Objection. Hearsay. Sustained, the judge said. Rachel rephrased. Did you observe anything in the videos that suggested the women knew they were being recorded? No. The camera angles were covert, hidden in a bookshelf or a dresser. The women never looked at the camera or acknowledged it. What did you do with the folder? I turned it over to the district attorney's office. Rachel nodded. No further questions. Derek's lawyer stood for cross-examination. Mrs. Kane, you and Derek are in the middle of a contentious divorce, correct? Yes. You have a financial incentive to see him convicted, don't you? A criminal record would affect alimony, asset division, custody if there were children. We don't have children, and I don't need his money. I'm the HR director at a major company. I make more than he does. But you're angry at him. You want revenge. I want justice. There's a difference. You accessed his laptop without his permission. I accessed a shared household device during a legal asset inventory. That's permitted under divorce law. The lawyer paused, realizing he wasn't getting anywhere. No further questions. Vanessa stepped down. Rachel called me next. I walked to the stand, was sworn in, and sat down. Rachel started with basic questions. My name, my relationship to Mara, how I discovered the affair. Then she asked, Did you document the affair? Yes. How? Screenshots of messages, photographs of receipts, calendar audits, witness statements, timestamps of public social media posts. Why did you document it? Because I needed proof. I knew if I confronted Mara without evidence, she'd deny it or minimize it. Documentation made denial impossible. Did you know at the time that Derek was recording Mara? No, I found out after the all-hands meeting when Vanessa contacted me. But you documented the same time periods when Derek was recording? Yes. 4 of the 5 dates Rachel mentioned match my documentation, hotel stays, restaurant visits, message exchanges. So your timeline corroborates the timeline of Derek's recordings? Yes. No further questions. Derek's lawyer stood. He was older, gray hair, expensive suit. Mr. Cole, you were angry at Derek Kane, weren't you? Yes. You wanted to destroy him. I wanted the truth on record. You coordinated with Vanessa Kane to humiliate Derek and Mara publicly. We coordinated to report policy violations to HR. The company chose to enforce those violations publicly. You could have handled this privately. Private confrontations can be rewritten, public evidence can't. So you wanted revenge. I wanted accountability. You fabricated evidence. No, every piece of evidence I provided was time-stamped, corroborated by third parties, and authenticated by metadata. You're not a forensic expert. I'm a fire inspector. I reconstruct incidents for a living. I know how to document evidence. The lawyer paused. You never saw Derek with a camera. Correct. You never saw him record anyone. Correct. So you can't testify to his intent? I can testify to the timeline. I can testify that Derek and Mara were together on the dates the recordings were made. That establishes opportunity. The lawyer frowned. No further questions. I stepped down. Rachel called one more witness. The IT specialist who extracted the files from Derek's laptop. He testified that the recordings were deliberate. The camera angles were consistent. The folder structure was organized. Then Rachel rested her case. Derek's lawyer called Derek to the stand. Derek looked smaller than I remembered. Thinner, tired. His lawyer asked him to explain the recordings. Derek said he didn't realize it was illegal. He thought since the relationships were consensual, the recordings were too. He never intended to harm anyone. Rachel cross-examined. Did you ask any of the women for permission to record? No. Did you tell them you were recording? No. Did you hide the cameras deliberately? Derek hesitated. Yes. So you knew the women wouldn't consent if you asked? I don't know. You hid the cameras because you knew it was wrong. I made a mistake. You made 5 mistakes. Over 3 years. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. Derek didn't answer. Rachel sat down. The judge called a recess. Vanessa and I waited in the hallway. "How do you think it's going?" she asked. "Hard to say. The evidence is strong, but juries are unpredictable. If he's acquitted, I don't know what I'll do." "He won't be. Rachel built a solid case." 2 hours later, the jury returned. We filed back into the courtroom. The judge asked the jury foreman for the verdict. On count 1, unlawful surveillance, we find the defendant guilty. Vanessa exhaled. On count 2, unlawful surveillance, we find the defendant guilty. Derek's head dropped. The judge set sentencing for 3 weeks. We walked out into the late afternoon sun. Vanessa turned to me. "Thank you for testifying, for everything." "You're welcome." "What now?" "Now we move on." She nodded. "Yeah, I guess we do." We shook hands one last time, and then we walked in opposite directions. I drove home, changed out of my suit, and sat on my couch. Derek was convicted. Mara was gone. The divorce was progressing. It was almost over. Not quite, but almost. And that was enough for now. Derek's sentencing happened 3 weeks later. I didn't attend. Vanessa texted me the outcome. 18 months probation, $5,000 fine, mandatory registration as a surveillance offender, no jail time. I replied, "How do you feel about that?" "Disappointed, but not surprised. First offense, no prior record. Judge was lenient. At least it's on his record now." "Yeah, and the civil suits are still pending. 3 of the women are moving forward. He'll be paying for this for years." "Good." Vanessa sent one more message. "Thank you again. For everything. I couldn't have done this without you." Neither could I. That was the last time we spoke. November came cold and wet. I worked my shifts, came home, made dinner, and slowly started to feel like a person again instead of just someone going through motions. Patricia called mid-month. "Divorce decree is being finalized. Judge signed off on all terms. You'll receive official documentation by end of December. After that, it's done." "That's it?" "That's it. Mara signed everything. No disputes, no delays, clean dissolution." "Thank you." "You're welcome. Good luck, Ethan." I hung up and sat in my apartment, letting it sink in. By the end of December, I'd be officially divorced, legally free. The marriage erased from the record, except for a piece of paper saying it happened and then ended. 3 years together. Reduced to a court filing. It should have felt like something. Relief, maybe, or sadness. But it just felt like closing a door that had been left open too long, necessary, overdue. Thanksgiving came. Leah invited me to dinner at her place. She'd invited a few friends, small gathering, low-key. I almost said no, but she insisted. "You can't spend Thanksgiving alone in your apartment eating microwave turkey." I was planning on Chinese takeout. Even worse. Come, eat real food, be around people. So I went. There were 6 of us. Leah, me, 3 of her friends from her design network, and a guy named Marcus who worked in IT. Quiet, kind of awkward, but funny once he relaxed. We ate too much food and played board games and argued about movies. It was normal, easy. At one point, one of Leah's friends, a woman named Claire, asked what I did for work. "Fire inspector." That sounds intense. Sometimes, mostly it's paperwork and reports. "Do you like it?" "Yeah, I do. It's methodical, evidence-based. Fires don't lie." "Unlike people." I smiled slightly. "Yeah, unlike people." Claire was in her early 30s, architect, recently moved to the city for work. She was easy to talk to. We spent most of the evening comparing notes on structural analysis and failure points. She talked about building codes. I talked about ignition patterns. When the night ended, she asked if I wanted to get coffee sometime. I hesitated. "Just coffee," she said. "No pressure." "Okay, coffee." She smiled and we exchanged numbers. Leah cornered me as I was leaving. "Claire likes you." "I know." "Are you going to call her?" "Maybe." "You should. She's smart. She's kind. And she's not Mara. That's a low bar. It's a starting point." I called Claire 3 days later. We met for coffee at a place near the river. We talked for 2 hours. About work, about the city, about stupid things like best pizza toppings and worst movies we'd ever seen. It was easy, comfortable. At the end, she asked if I wanted to do it again. "Yeah, I'd like that." We made plans for the following week. Dinner this time. That evening, I got a text from an unknown number. "Ethan, it's Mara. I know you don't want to hear from me. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I've been in therapy. trying to understand why I did what I did. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. I stared at the message for a long time, then I typed, I appreciate that. I hope you find what you're looking for. I didn't block the number, but I didn't save it either. She didn't reply. December arrived. The city decorated for the holidays, lights on every street, storefronts full of fake snow and plastic trees. I went on 3 more dates with Claire. Movies, dinners, a walk through the botanical gardens, even though it was freezing. She asked about my ex once. Just a simple question. What happened? She cheated, planned a whole future with someone else while we were still together. I found out and documented everything. It ended badly. That sounds awful. It was, but it's over now. Are you okay? I'm getting there. She didn't push for more, just nodded and changed the subject. I appreciated that. A week before Christmas, Patricia sent the final divorce decree. It arrived in a large manila envelope with an official court seal. I opened it and read through the document. 18 pages of legalese confirming what I already knew. The marriage was dissolved, assets divided, no alimony, no ongoing obligations. I was officially single. I filed the decree in a folder with the rest of the paperwork, separation filing, evidence logs, court correspondence, and put it in a drawer. Then I closed the drawer and didn't look at it again. Christmas Eve, Leah invited me to her place again. Just the 2 of us this time. We ordered pizza, watched bad holiday movies, and didn't talk about anything serious. At midnight, she raised her beer. To new beginnings. I clinked my bottle against hers. To new beginnings. Christmas Day, I called my parents. They lived upstate, retired, mostly kept to themselves. I hadn't told them about the divorce yet, hadn't wanted to deal with the questions. But I told them that day. My mother was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I'm sorry, Ethan. That must have been awful. It was, but it's over now. Are you okay? I am. Really. Do you want to come visit? Maybe in the new year. I need to settle into things first. Okay, but if you need anything, call us. I will. My father got on the phone. Your mother's worried. I know. Tell her I'm fine. Are you? Yeah, Dad, I am. Good, you're a strong kid. Always have been. Thanks. We hung up. I spent the rest of Christmas alone, made a small dinner, watched the snow fall outside my window, went to bed early. It wasn't a great Christmas, but it wasn't terrible either. It was just a day. The week between Christmas and New Year's, I went on another date with Claire. We went ice skating at an outdoor rink downtown. I was terrible at it. She laughed and held my hand to keep me from falling. Afterward, we got hot chocolate and sat on a bench watching other people skate. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. Are you ready to date? Really? I thought about that. I don't know. I think so, but I'm still figuring things out. That's honest. Is that a problem? No, I appreciate honesty. I just don't want to be a rebound. You're not. How do you know? Because I'm choosing to be here. I'm not running from something. I'm moving towards something. She smiled. Okay, I can work with that. We kissed. Brief, tentative, but real. New Year's Eve, Leah threw a party. 20 people crammed into her small apartment. Music loud, drinks flowing, countdown to midnight projected on the TV. Claire came with me. She fit in easily with Leah's friends. Laughed at Marcus's bad jokes. Debated architecture versus engineering with one of Leah's coworkers. At 11:50, Leah pulled me aside. You look happy? I am? Good. You deserve it. So do you. She hugged me. This year's going to be better. It already is. At midnight, everyone counted down. 10, 9, 8. Claire stood beside me, holding my hand. 3, 2, 1. Cheers erupted. People kissed. Confetti fell from somewhere. Claire kissed me. Longer this time, more certain. When we pulled apart, she said, Happy New Year, Ethan. Happy New Year. We stayed until 2 a.m., then walked back to my apartment. The streets were quiet. The city settling down after the chaos. At my door, Claire asked, Can I come up? Yeah. We went inside. She looked around at the small space, the minimal furniture, the lack of decoration. You really need a plant. Leah said the same thing. Leah's right. We sat on the couch, talked until 4 in the morning, about everything and nothing. Childhoods, bad breakups, career ambitions, fears, hopes. At dawn, she fell asleep with her head on my shoulder. I stayed awake, watching the sun come up through the window. For the first time in 6 months, I felt something close to peace. Not happiness exactly, not yet, but peace. The quiet certainty that the worst was behind me, that I'd survive the fire and come out the other side. Scarred, maybe. Changed, definitely, but still standing. January began cold and clear. I went back to work, picked up extra shifts, saved money, started thinking about what came next. Claire and I kept seeing each other, once, twice a week. We took it slow, no pressure, no expectations, just two people figuring out if they fit. Mid-January, I got a text from Vanessa. Derek's civil trial starts next month. 2 of the women are moving forward. Thought you should know. Are you testifying again? Probably. You? If they ask me to. How are you doing? Good. Really good, actually. You? Same. Divorce is final. I'm moving to a new city. Fresh start. That's great. Where? Portland. I have family there. And a job offer. Congratulations. Thanks. Take care of yourself, Ethan. You too. That was the last message. 2 weeks later, I got a subpoena for Derek's civil trial. Same deal as before. Timeline corroboration. Establishing pattern of behavior. I testified for 20 minutes, answered questions, stuck to facts. Derek sat at the defendant's table, staring at the floor the entire time. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Found him liable on both counts. Awarded damages, $75,000 to one woman, $60,000 to the other. I didn't stay for the verdict. Just testified and left. Vanessa texted me later. Justice, I replied. Justice. February brought warmer weather. The snow melted. The city started to wake up. Claire and I went to a gallery opening. A friend of hers was exhibiting sculptures, abstract metal pieces that looked like they'd survived a fire. I stood in front of one for a long time. What are you thinking? Claire asked. That destruction can be beautiful, if you know how to look at it. Is that a fire inspector thing? Maybe. She smiled and took my hand. You're a weird guy, Ethan. I know. I like it. We left the gallery and walked through the city. No destination, just walking. At some point she asked, Are you happy? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Yeah, I said. I think I am. Good. We walked the rest of the way in comfortable silence. That night, I went home and opened the drawer where I'd filed all the divorce paperwork. I looked at it for a long time. Then I took the entire folder and put it in a storage box in the back of my closet. Not thrown away, but not front and center either. Just filed, finished, done. I closed the closet door and went to bed. And for the first time since I'd found those messages on Mara's laptop, I didn't dream about fires. I dreamed about the river, about sunlight on water, about moving forward. When I woke up, the dream faded quickly. But the feeling stayed, the quiet certainty that I was going to be okay. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. And eventually was good enough. March came, then April. Life kept moving. I kept moving with it. Claire and I grew closer, slow, steady, built on honesty. Leah stopped asking if I was okay. Started asking what I was doing this weekend instead. Work stayed busy. Fires happened. I investigated them. The evidence never lied. And bit by bit, day by day, I became someone who wasn't defined by what Mara had done. I became someone who'd survived it, learned from it, moved past it. Not bitter, not broken, just stronger. And that was enough. By late spring, I'd stopped thinking about Mara every day. Then every other day. Then only when something triggered a memory. A restaurant we used to go to. A song that played in our apartment. The smell of her perfume on someone passing by. The memories came less frequently. And when they did, they hurt less. Claire and I had been dating for 5 months. We'd fallen into an easy rhythm, dinners twice a week, movies on weekends, long conversations about nothing important. She'd started keeping a toothbrush at my apartment. I'd started keeping spare clothes at hers. Small steps, but they felt significant. One evening in May, we were cooking dinner together at my place. Pasta with vegetables. She was chopping onions. I was stirring sauce. I need to tell you something, she said. I looked up. Her tone was serious. Okay. I got a job offer in Seattle. It's a great opportunity. Lead architect on a major urban development project. My stomach dropped. When would you start? August, if I take it. Are you going to take it? She set down the knife and turned to face me. I don't know. That depends on you. On me? I like what we have, Ethan. I like you. But I need to know if this is going somewhere, because if it's not, then I should take the job. But if it is, she trailed off. I stood there holding the wooden spoon, sauce dripping onto the counter. 6 months ago, I couldn't imagine trusting anyone again. Couldn't imagine opening myself up to the possibility of being hurt like that. But Claire wasn't Mara. She was honest, direct. She didn't play games or hide things. And I realized I didn't want her to leave. "I don't want you to go," I said. "That's not an answer. What do you want me to say?" "I want you to tell me what you want, not what you don't want." I set the spoon down. "I want you to stay. I want to see where this goes. I want to keep building whatever this is between us." "Are you sure? Because I need you to be sure. I'm not interested in being with someone who's still processing his ex." "I'm not. I'm still processing. But not in a way that affects us. Mara's in my past. You're in my present. And I want you in my future." Claire smiled. "That's better." "So you're staying?" "I'm staying." We kissed. The pasta boiled over. We laughed and turned off the stove and ordered pizza instead. That night, lying in bed, Claire asked, "Do you ever think about her?" "Sometimes." "What do you think about?" "Mostly I wonder if she's okay. If she learned anything. If she's different now. Do you care?" "I don't know. Part of me hopes she got help. Part of me doesn't care at all. That's honest. I try to be. That's one of the things I love about you." I looked at her. "You love me?" She hesitated. "Yeah, I do. I love you too." It was the first time either of us had said it. It felt right. June brought long days and warm nights. Claire moved some of her things into my apartment. Not everything, just enough that it started to feel like our space instead of mine. Leah noticed immediately. "You're different." "How?" "You smile more. You don't have that look anymore." "What look?" "The look like you're waiting for something bad to happen." "I didn't realize I had that look." "You did, for months, but it's gone now." "Good. Claire's good for you." "She is. Don't screw it up." "I'll try not to." Mid-June, I got an email from Patricia. "Final financial settlement complete. Joint account closed. Remaining funds distributed per divorce decree. All legal obligations fulfilled. You're officially done." I read it twice. Then I forwarded it to my personal archive and deleted it from my inbox. Done. No loose ends, no unfinished business. I thought about celebrating, opening a bottle of wine, calling Leah. But it didn't feel like something worth celebrating. It just felt like closing a chapter that had already ended months ago. I went to work, ran my calls, came home. Claire was there, making dinner. She kissed me hello and asked about my day. I told her it was good. And it was. Late June, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Ethan?" I recognized the voice immediately. "Mara." "What do you want?" "I'm sorry to call. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I needed to tell you something." "I'm listening." "I got a job in Boston. It's not much. Marketing coordinator at a nonprofit. But it's a start." "That's good." "I've been in therapy for 6 months, working through everything. I understand now why I did what I did, the lying, the cheating, all of it." "Okay." "I just wanted you to know that I'm trying. I'm trying to be better, to be the kind of person who doesn't hurt people." I didn't respond immediately. I thought about all the nights I'd spent documenting her lies, all the hours I'd spent angry, hurt, betrayed, and I realized I didn't feel any of that anymore. "I hope it works out for you, Mara." "That's it?" "What do you want me to say?" "I don't know. I guess I wanted forgiveness, or closure, or something. I forgave you a long time ago, not because you deserved it, but because I needed to let it go." She was quiet for a long moment. "Thank you." "You're welcome. Take care of yourself." "You too." I hung up. Claire looked at me from the kitchen. "Was that her?" "Yeah." "How do you feel?" "Fine, like talking to someone I used to know a long time ago." "That's good." "Yeah, it is." We didn't talk about it again. July came hot and humid. The city slowed down. People left for vacation. The fire station was quieter than usual. Claire and I took a weekend trip upstate, stayed at a small bed and breakfast near the mountains, hiked during the day, sat on the porch at night drinking wine and watching the stars. On the last night, she asked, "Do you think you'll ever get married again?" "I don't know. Maybe. Do you want to get married?" "Eventually. Not right now, but someday." "To me?" "Maybe, if you don't screw it up." I smiled. "I'll try not to." That's all I ask. We drove back Sunday evening. The city was loud and bright and full of life. Claire fell asleep in the passenger seat. I drove and thought about the last year. Everything I'd lost, everything I'd found, the person I'd been and the person I was becoming. Not bitter, not broken, just different, stronger in some ways, more careful in others, but alive, moving forward, building something real. August arrived. Claire's Seattle job offer expired. She didn't take it. Instead, she got promoted at her current firm, lead architect on a new civic center project downtown. We celebrated with dinner at an expensive restaurant neither of us could really afford. Worth it? She asked. Absolutely. That night, she asked if she could move in officially, not just a toothbrush and spare clothes, everything. Are you sure? I asked. I'm sure. Are you? I thought about it. Really thought about it. A year ago, I would have said no, would have been too scared, too damaged, but now? Yes, I'm sure. She moved in the following week. We rearranged furniture, made space for her things, bought a plant like Leah and Claire had been telling me to do for months. The apartment stopped feeling like a temporary holding place and started feeling like home. September brought cooler air and shorter days. I picked up extra shifts at work. Claire worked late most nights on her new project. But we made time, dinners together, weekends exploring the city, quiet evenings on the couch watching nothing in particular. One evening, my phone buzzed. A news alert. Derek Kane had been arrested again. Violation of probation. He'd been caught with surveillance equipment in his apartment. I showed Claire the article. Your ex's ex, she said. Yeah. How do you feel? Nothing. He's not my problem anymore. Good. Boom, I deleted the alert and put my phone away. October came, a year since Derek's trial, a year since the all-hands meeting, a year since everything fell apart and then slowly came back together. Leah invited us to her place for dinner, just the three of us. She'd made lasagna. We drank wine and played cards and laughed about stupid things. At the end of the night, she pulled me aside. You're happy. I am. Really happy. Not just okay. Actually happy. Yeah. I'm proud of you. For what? For not letting what happened destroy you, for rebuilding, for letting someone in again. I had help. You did the work. I hugged her. Thank you for everything. That's what sisters are for. Claire and I walked home through the cool night air, our breath fogged in front of us. Your sister loves you, she said. I know. You're lucky. I am. We walked the rest of the way in comfortable silence. At home, we brushed our teeth side by side at the bathroom sink, got into bed. She curled up against me. Ethan? Yeah? I'm glad you didn't give up. On what? On people, on relationships, on the possibility that something good could happen after something bad. Me too. She fell asleep quickly. I lay awake for a while, thinking. A year ago, I was sitting in a hotel room the night before the all-hands meeting, counting down hours until Mara's world collapsed. Now I was lying in bed next to someone who loved me, someone I loved, someone I trusted. The journey from there to here hadn't been easy. There had been nights I thought I'd never feel normal again, days I couldn't imagine trusting anyone, but I'd done it. One day at a time, one choice at a time. I'd documented the lies, gathered the evidence, let the truth speak for itself, and then I'd let it go. Not forgotten, not erased, just filed away in the back of the closet where it belonged. November came, Thanksgiving again. Leah invited us to another dinner. Bigger group this time. Claire's friends, some of my coworkers. Marcus from last year, we crowded around Leah's table. Too many people, not enough chairs. Perfect chaos. At one point, someone asked how Claire and I met. My sister introduced us, I said. Best decision I ever made, Leah added. Second best, Claire corrected. Best decision was him calling me after we met. That was a good decision, I agreed. Everyone laughed. Later, doing dishes in Leah's tiny kitchen, Claire asked, Do you ever think about where you'd be if you hadn't found those messages? Sometimes. Where do you think you'd be? Still with Mara, still being lied to, still living a life that wasn't real. Do you think you would have figured it out eventually? Maybe. Or maybe I would have married her and spent years in a relationship built on lies. That's a depressing thought. It is. But it didn't happen. I found out. I dealt with it. And now I'm here. With me. With you. She kissed me. I'm glad you found out. Me too? We finished the dishes and rejoined the party. At midnight, everyone left. Claire and I walked home through the cold night. That was fun, she said. It was. Your sister throws a good party. She does. At home, we got ready for bed. Claire fell asleep almost immediately. I lay awake thinking about the last year. Everything that had happened, everything that had changed. The person I'd been when I found those messages. Angry, hurt, determined to expose the truth, felt like a different person now. Not because I regretted what I'd done, but because I'd moved past it. The evidence was still filed in the back of my closet. The divorce decree was still in the drawer. The memories were still in my head, but they didn't define me anymore. I was Ethan Cole, fire inspector, boyfriend, brother, friend, someone who'd survived a fire and come out the other side, scarred, changed, stronger, and ready for whatever came next. I closed my eyes and drifted off to sleep. No dreams about fires, no dreams about betrayal, just quiet, peaceful, rest. And when I woke up the next morning, the sun was shining through the window. Claire was still asleep beside me. The apartment was quiet, and everything felt exactly as it should. December arrived with the first real snow of winter. The city transformed overnight, white and clean and quiet. Claire and I walked to work together most mornings, our breath fogging in the cold air, our hands clasped between us. One morning, about 2 weeks before Christmas, I got a call from Vanessa. I hadn't heard from her since February. "Ethan, I hope I'm not bothering you." "Not at all. How are you?" "Good. Really good. I wanted to let you know something. Derek's going to prison." I stopped walking. Claire looked at me questioningly. I held up a finger. "What happened?" "He violated probation again. Got caught with surveillance equipment for the third time. Judge revoked probation and sentenced him to 18 months. He reports next week." "How do you feel about that?" "Relieved. He can't hurt anyone else for a while. And honestly, I feel like I can finally close that chapter." "I'm glad. I wanted to thank you again for everything you did, for testifying, for being there when I needed someone who understood. You would have done the same. Maybe, but still, thank you. I'm getting remarried, by the way." "That's wonderful. Congratulations. His name is Peter. He's a teacher, kind, patient, honest. Everything Derek wasn't. I'm happy for you. What about you? Are you doing okay?" "Yeah, I'm with someone. Her name is Claire. We've been together almost a year now." "That's great, Ethan. You deserve that." "So do you. Take care of yourself." "You too, Vanessa." I hung up and looked at Claire. "Derek's going to prison. How do you feel about that?" "Like it's justice. Not for me, but for the women he hurt." "Good." We kept walking. The snow crunched under our boots. That evening, I pulled out the storage box from the back of my closet, the one with all the divorce paperwork and evidence files. Claire was in the living room reading. I sat on the bedroom floor and opened the box. Everything was still there. Screenshots, receipts, timeline, court documents, divorce decree. I looked through it all slowly. Not with anger, not with sadness, just with the detached curiosity of someone reviewing something that happened to someone else. These documents had saved me. They'd given me truth when everything else was lies. They'd given me justice when I needed it most. But I didn't need them anymore. I closed the box and carried it to the living room. Claire looked up. "What's that?" "Everything from the divorce. Evidence, court papers, all of it." "What are you going to do with it?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to burn it. Part of me thinks I should keep it." "Why would you keep it?" "As a reminder of what happened, of what I survived." "Do you need a reminder?" I thought about that. "No, I don't think I do." "Then burn it." "Really?" "Why not? It's over. You've moved on. Keeping it is just keeping the past alive." She was right. I took the box to the fire escape. It was late. The building was quiet. Snow fell softly around us. I opened the box one more time, looked at the files, the evidence that had destroyed Mara and Derek's lives and rebuilt mine. Then I took out a metal trash can we kept on the fire escape for recycling, set it on the metal grating, and started feeding papers into it. Screenshots first, then receipts, then timeline documents, then court filings, then the divorce decree itself. I lit a match and dropped it in. The papers caught quickly. Flames licked up, orange and bright against the dark night. Claire stood beside me watching. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Like closure." We watched until everything burned down to ash. Then I dumped the ashes over the railing, watching them scatter in the snow. The box was empty now. I folded it flat and put it in the recycling bin. Claire took my hand. "Come inside. You're freezing." We went back in. I made hot chocolate. We sat on the couch under a blanket. "No regrets?" she asked. "None." "Good." That night, I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I woke up feeling lighter, like I'd been carrying something heavy and finally put it down. Work was busy, the fire station was preparing for the holiday season, extra shifts, extra training, extra everything. I picked up a double shift on Christmas Eve. Claire didn't mind. She was going to spend the evening with Leah anyway. The shift was quiet until around 11 p.m. Then we got a call. Structure fire, residential building, multiple units involved. We arrived to find smoke pouring from a third-floor apartment. Residents evacuated. No injuries reported. Steve and I went in with the hose team. The fire was contained to one unit. Kitchen fire, grease ignition, spread to the cabinets and ceiling. We put it out in 20 minutes. After, while the other crews were doing cleanup, I walked through the apartment doing my initial assessment. The damage was extensive, but not catastrophic. The kitchen was destroyed, smoke damage throughout. But the structure was sound. I documented everything, took photos, made notes, started building the incident report in my head. As I was finishing, the building superintendent approached me. "Inspector Cole?" "Yes." "The tenant wants to talk to you. She's outside." I followed him down. A woman in her 40s was standing on the sidewalk, wrapped in a blanket, crying. "Ma'am, I'm Inspector Cole. Can you tell me what happened?" "I was cooking dinner. The oil caught fire. I panicked. I tried to put it out with water, and it just got worse." "Okay. That's actually really common. Oil fires shouldn't be doused with water. It makes them spread." "I know that now. I wasn't thinking. It's understandable. You're okay. That's what matters. My apartment is destroyed. The structure is sound. The damage can be repaired. You'll be able to move back in eventually. But everything I own..." "Do you have renter's insurance?" "Yes." "Then you'll be covered. The important thing is you got out safely." She nodded, still crying. I stayed with her until her sister arrived to pick her up. Then I finished my report and headed back to the station. Steve was sitting in the truck. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About?" "About how fast things can burn. How one mistake can destroy everything you've built." "That's a depressing Christmas Eve thought." "Maybe, but it's also a reminder that we rebuild, that fires don't last forever." Steve looked at me. "You're in a weird mood tonight." "It's been a weird year." "Fair enough." We got back to the station at 2 a.m. I changed, showered, and drove home. Claire was asleep on the couch, waiting for me. I covered her with a blanket and went to bed. Christmas morning, she woke me up with coffee and pancakes. "Merry Christmas." "Merry Christmas." We exchanged gifts. Small things. A book I'd mentioned wanting. A necklace she'd been eyeing. Nothing extravagant. Then we spent the day doing nothing. Watching movies, making dinner together, sitting by the window watching snow fall. It was perfect. That evening, Claire asked, "What do you want for next year?" "What do you mean?" "Goals. Dreams. What do you want your life to look like a year from now?" I thought about it. I want this. Exactly this. You, me, a quiet life, maybe a bigger apartment, maybe a dog, but mostly just this. That's a good answer. What about you? Same. Plus maybe we take a real vacation. Go somewhere warm. Forget about winter for a week. I can work with that. We clinked our wine glasses and went back to watching the snow. New Year's came quickly. Leah threw another party. Bigger this time. 30 people, music loud, dancing, chaos. At midnight, Claire kissed me and whispered, "Best year of my life." Mine too. January arrived cold and clear. Claire's project was entering final construction phase. She was working 12-hour days. I picked up extra shifts to match. We were busy, but we made it work. One evening in late January, I came home to find Claire sitting at the kitchen table with a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. "We need to talk," she said. My stomach dropped. Those 4 words. Never good. "Okay." I sat down. She poured wine for both of us. "I've been thinking about the future," she said. "And?" "I want kids, eventually. Not right now, but in a few years. I need to know if that's something you want too." I relaxed slightly. "I think so. I haven't thought about it much. But yeah, eventually." "You think so, or you know so?" "I know so. I want kids. With you." She smiled. "Good. Because I needed to know if we're building toward the same thing." "We are." "Okay, then we're good." "That's it?" "That's it." You scared me for a second there. "Sorry, I just needed to ask." We finished the wine and went to bed. February came with a thaw. The snow melted. The city turned gray and slushy. One afternoon, I was at the station doing paperwork when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Hello? Is this Ethan Cole? Yes. This is Amanda Wu. I'm a reporter with the local news. I'm doing a story on workplace accountability and public exposure cases. I heard about what happened with you and your ex-wife last year. Would you be willing to be interviewed? No. I understand it's a sensitive topic, but I'm not interested. That chapter is closed. Could I just ask a few questions about... No, thank you for calling. I hung up. Steve looked over. Reporter? Yeah. Wanted to do a story about the all-hands meeting. You gonna do it? No, I'm done talking about it. Good call. Later that evening, I told Claire about the call. How do you feel about that? She asked. Fine. I don't owe anyone my story. What happened, happened. It's over. You're really over it, aren't you? Yeah, I am. And I realized it was true. I wasn't just saying it. I wasn't pretending. I was actually genuinely over it. Mara was a person I used to know. Derek was someone who got what he deserved. The all-hands meeting was just something that happened. None of it defined me anymore. March came with early spring, trees budding, birds returning, the city waking up. Claire and I started looking at bigger apartments. 2 bedrooms, room for an office, maybe a small yard or balcony. We found one in April, a corner unit with big windows and hardwood floors. More expensive than we wanted, but perfect. We moved in May. Leah helped. Marcus helped. Some of Claire's coworkers helped. We spent a week unpacking and arranging, making the space ours. On our first night in the new apartment, we ordered pizza and sat on the floor surrounded by boxes. This is good, Claire said. Yeah, it is. I'm happy. Me too. We ate and talked about plans, where to put furniture, what color to paint the second bedroom, when to get that dog we'd talked about. Later, lying in bed in the new bedroom, Claire said, I love you, Ethan Cole. I love you too. I mean it. I really love you. You're kind and honest, and you work hard at things. You don't give up. You don't lie. You face things head on. You make me sound better than I am. I don't think so. I think you're exactly that good. I kissed her. Thank you. For what? For seeing me that way. For being patient while I figured things out. For staying. I wasn't going anywhere. I know. That's why I love you. We fell asleep holding each other. June arrived warm and bright. The city was alive with summer, people everywhere, energy and noise and life. I'd been with Claire for a year and a half, living together for a year, building a life, and I realized I didn't think about Mara anymore, not even occasionally. She'd become a story I told if someone asked about my past, but not a wound that still hurt. One evening, walking home from dinner, Claire asked, Do you ever regret how you handled things? With Mara? Yeah. No, I documented everything, reported it properly. Let the evidence speak for itself. That was the right way. Some people would say it was cold. Maybe, but it was honest, and honesty mattered more than anything else. I agree. We walked in silence for a moment. Then Claire said, I'm glad you're the way you are. What way? Someone who values truth, even when it's hard. It's the only way I know how to be. I know. That's what I love about you. We got home, made tea, sat on the couch watching the city lights through the window, and I thought about the last 2 years. Everything I'd lost, everything I'd gained, the person I'd been and the person I'd become. Not perfect, not undamaged, but whole, happy, moving forward. And that was more than enough. July came. Claire and I got engaged on a quiet Sunday morning. No grand gesture, just a question and an answer. Yes. We set a date for next spring. Small ceremony, close friends and family. Leah cried when we told her. Finally, she said, you deserve this. I did. We both did. August brought wedding planning. Nothing elaborate, a small venue, simple decorations, honest vows that we'd write ourselves. Claire wanted to get married in a garden, somewhere with trees and open sky. We found a place upstate, quiet, beautiful, perfect. One evening while we were addressing invitations, Claire asked, Are you going to invite your parents? Of course. Why wouldn't I? I don't know. I just wanted to make sure you were comfortable with everything. I am. This is different. This is real. She smiled and went back to writing addresses. September came with cooler air and shorter days. Work stayed busy. Claire's project was nearing completion. We were both tired most nights. But we were happy tired. Building something together tired. One Saturday afternoon, we went to look at dogs at the shelter. We'd been talking about it for months. Finally decided it was time. We walked past kennels of barking dogs, big ones, small ones, old ones, puppies. Claire stopped at one cage, a medium-sized mutt, brown and white, maybe 3 years old, calm eyes. "This one," she said. "You sure?" "I'm sure." We adopted him that day, named him Charlie, brought him home and watched him explore the apartment cautiously at first, then with growing confidence. He slept between us that night. Claire laughed. "We're a family now." "Yeah, we are." October brought the first frost. The city shifted into fall colors, red and orange and gold. One evening, I was walking Charlie when my phone rang. Unknown number again. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Ethan?" It was Mara. I stopped walking. "What do you want?" "I'm sorry to call. I know we agreed not to contact each other, but I heard you're getting married." "How did you hear that?" "Mutual friend. Sophie. She saw the announcement online." "Okay. Yes, I'm getting married." "I'm happy for you. I really am." I didn't respond. "I wanted to tell you something," she continued. "I'm in a good place now. I have a job I like. I'm in therapy. I'm learning to be better. And I'm seeing someone. Someone kind. Someone honest." "That's good. I just wanted you to know that I learned from what happened. I'm not that person anymore. The person who lied and cheated and hurt people." "I hope that's true." "It is, I promise." "Mara, I appreciate you calling, but I need you to understand something. What happened between us is in the past. I've moved on. I'm happy, and I can't have you in my life, even peripherally. I understand. I hope things work out for you. I really do. But this is the last time we talk." "Okay. Thank you for everything, Ethan. For being kind even when I didn't deserve it. Take care of yourself. You too." I hung up. Charlie looked up at me, tail wagging. "Come on, buddy. Let's go home." We walked back to the apartment. Claire was cooking dinner. "Who called?" she asked. "Mara. She heard about the wedding. Wanted to congratulate me." "How do you feel?" "Fine. I told her it was the last time we'd talk." "Good. Yeah." We ate dinner, gave Charlie scraps under the table even though we weren't supposed to, cleaned up together, watched a movie on the couch with Charlie between us. It was normal, easy, real. Later that night, lying in bed, Claire said, 6 months until the wedding." "I know." "Are you nervous?" "No. Are you?" "No. I'm excited." "Me too." "I love you, Ethan." "I love you too." She fell asleep quickly. I lay awake for a while, thinking. 2 years ago, I was sitting in a hotel room counting down hours until an all-hands meeting, documenting lies, building evidence, preparing to expose the truth. Now I was lying in bed next to someone I loved, planning a wedding, building a future. The journey from there to here had been long, painful, difficult, but I'd made it. Not bitter, not broken, not defined by what Mara had done. Just someone who'd survived a fire and learned to build again. I closed my eyes and fell asleep. No dreams about betrayal, no dreams about evidence folders, no dreams about all-hands meetings, just peaceful, quiet rest. And when I woke up the next morning, sunlight was streaming through the window. Claire was already up, making coffee. Charlie was lying at the foot of the bed, tail wagging when he saw me. I got up, joined Claire in the kitchen, and kissed her good morning. "What do you want to do today?" she asked. "Nothing, everything, whatever you want," she smiled. Perfect answer. We spent the day doing ordinary things. Walking Charlie, getting groceries, cooking together, sitting on the couch reading while rain fell outside. It was a good day. A normal day. The kind of day I never thought I'd have again 2 years ago. But here I was, living it, grateful for it, and ready for whatever came next.